Hello, go ahead and come to standing near the top of your mat. Take a moment, open your feet a comfortable width distance apart. Turn your knees so they're facing forward. Maybe even turn the second, third toes to face forward too. If that bothers your knees, then go ahead, let those turn out or in a little bit. And then here, wiggle your toes. So just getting awareness into the bottoms of your feet. Make sure your feet are also even. Then, with your next inhale, just act like you're going to pick up the mat with your toes. Feel the bottoms of your feet engaging and contracting. Release. Wiggle your toes again. Lift all 10 toes up. Notice the arches of your feet lift up with the toes. Now balance out the weight between the front and the back of your feet and the inner and outer edges of your feet. With the weight even in your feet, keep pulling up through those arches. If your toes will move, spread them apart. If they don't worry about that. And then lowering the toes down to the ground, trying to keep the arches pulling up. Settle your hips back over your heels. So a good measure is top of the leg bone over your ankle, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. So standing up nice and tall here. Hands can come together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Connect from the hips down into the earth. If your knees feel like they're locking, soften through the knee joints. And then coming into your breath. So just feeling the air on the nostrils. And then feeling the lungs moving with the breath. And feel the skin of your torso move with the breath, just expanding out on the inhales and softening back in with the exhales. And give yourself some time to settle here into the flow of the breath and into the connection to the hips, the legs, and the feet into the earth. But still feeling that lift, that lightness of the arches of your feet that extends all the way up out through the crown of the head as you stand up nice and tall. Breathe. We will start with a Om. Om is considered the sound the universe makes, and it's just a good way to come into practice. So exhale. Inhale. Then coming back into the flow of the breath. Feeling that rhythm moving through your body. And then we'll connect our movements to that rhythm of the breath. So when you're ready, exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. I'm a bit close to the wall, but I'm going to keep here. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. 2 more times, moving with the breath. Kind of like that tactile sensation of the wall, honestly. And then with your arms lifted up overhead, your right hand can grab the left wrist, or left hand, right wrist, sorry, lean over to your left. Inhale up to center, right hand, left wrist, lean to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale to the left. If this bothers your shoulders, you do not have to hold on to the wrist. Inhale up to center. Exhale to the right. Or you can, even if this bothers your shoulders, inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale up to center with arms both down. Exhale to the right. So again, just whatever variation feels good for your shoulders. One more time. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, release the arms to the side, knees as wide apart as the feet. Bend your knees, act like you're sitting back in a chair. Exhale, back to standing. Inhale, bend the knees, act like you're sitting back in a chair. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, bend the knees, act like you're sitting back in a chair. Exhale, bring your hands to your own legs. Inhale, let your hips sink back, lengthen through the spine, and then keeping this extended spine, so trying not to round the back. Actually, go ahead, take a moment, round the back, exhale and round. Inhale and arch. Exhale and round. Inhale and arch. Exhale and round. And then coming somewhere in between. So again, a place where the back is extended. where the hips are not tucked under. So you don't want that tilt, that tuck under of the hips, but neither are they lifting really high to the sky, not a big arch either. There is a small arch, that's natural curves of the spine. And in this place, extend through the spine. But keeping the spine extended, slide the hands maybe further down the leg. Now stopping at the point where you notice your back rounding. So if your back starts to round, stop there, lengthen through the spine, breathing here. And then if it does feel good for your back, just gently and evenly let the back round. Hands might come further down onto the legs or even to the floor. And then from here, inhale, rising back up into that extended spine. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Staying into a forward fold with bent knees. If you want to, if it feels good for your back, you can release the spine entirely. You can relax the head and neck. Just feeling the breath moving through you here. You can play with relaxing through the shoulders to see how that feels for you. Or you can slide the shoulders up away from the ears and see if that feels better for you. Some people like the space, the neck, and the neck that sliding the shoulders away from the ears gives. You can move back and forth. I have students who use this to floss a bit through the shoulders. And then when you feel done here, bring the hands back to the legs, come back up into that nice extended spine, and then exhale all the way back to standing. Okay, turn to face the side, open the legs nice and wide apart, pause for a moment, turn your feet to face forward, and then take a moment here, and I didn't talk about this before, but this is, I mentioned it. This is true when we're standing at the top of the mat too, which is you want your hips, the top of your leg bone, to be more back over the back of your foot typically, instead of popping the hips forward. So just take a moment and let the weight come towards the back of your feet a little bit more, not so much that you're gonna fall over. And you are still grounding down actively through the front of the feet as well. Breathing here. And then, because often when we open our feet wide apart, we come to someplace that's really comfortable for us. Now, if you didn't, if you're someplace that you're working the legs a little bit, then you might want to stay where you are. But if you want to explore, and if it's not going to cause any injury, then soften your knees and maybe play with opening the legs a little bit wider apart, and just notice how you have to pull in the wider apart the legs are. And then you can move them back in. So part of yoga is honestly the asana practice, the physical postures, is just exploring how different things affect your body, how different things affect your nervous system. Because as you moved your legs wider apart, if you ended up going someplace that was challenging for you, you might have noticed you started feeling stressed. So that point, that's when we really want to stay with the flow of our breath and just to keep the breath full and deep. And again, maybe move the legs back in and just notice the difference. And then come as wide as comfortable, that you feel like you can still move and that it's not going to cause you any problems. And then in this place, we're going to turn the left toes in towards the right a little bit, the right toes all the way out. Bend the right knee and bring the right elbow to the right leg. You're going to gently press the right knee open with the arm. And this left thigh, again, just make sure that hip doesn't pop forward. The leg bone is still stacked back over the heel. Or sometimes I'll bring my left hand to the left thigh and gently press that thigh back too, leaning inside the legs for a moment. Just be careful when you do that, not to lock that left knee. And then keep the feeling of the legs pressing back, spine long, and move the hips forward as a unit. So I'm leaning my torso back in line with the legs. From here, lift the left hand up to the sky. Bring the hand a bit forward and feel the shoulders gently hugging toward each other on the back. Feel free to stay here. Or inhale, left arm alongside by the ear. Exhale, left hand by the hip. Inhale, left arm by the ear. Exhale, by the hip. Inhale, by the ear. Holding the left hand here, breathe. Feel that breath moving through you. Feel the rib cage moving. Feel the lungs moving. Feel the skin move. And then press down to the feet. Come all the way up. Second side. Right toes turn in. Left toes turn out. Left knee points towards the second or third toe. Bending that knee. Stacking it right on top of the ankle. Right leg moves back. Left knee presses open. Bow a little bit inside the legs. Breathing here with a nice extended spine. Then without locking that right knee, go ahead and lean your whole torso back, keeping the legs pressing back. Then from here, Right hand lifts to the sky. Shoulders gently hug towards each other on the back, not squeezing in for dear life or anything, just feeling them moving in that direction. And then inhale, right arm by the ear. Exhale by the hip. Inhale by the ear. Exhale by the hip. Inhale by the ear. Holding here, breathe. Nice full deep breaths. And then press down through the legs, come all the way up. Turn all 10 toes, face back forward. Soften through your knees, and with your knees soft, let your hips shoot back and act like you're gonna reach for the ground way far out in front of you. Slowly forward, folding forward here. Maybe eventually your hands do come to the ground way forward out in front of you. Maybe that's too far away. Your hands come to the legs, but you're stretching the spine nice and long. Again, breathing wherever you're at, wherever works for you. And again, if you want to then gently and evenly let the back round, you can. If you want to straighten the legs, you can do that as well if that feels okay for your body, but you want your hips to be higher than the low back. So make sure first your knees are bent enough that your hips are lifting up higher than the low back right above the hips. And as you straighten the legs, you'll want to keep your hips lifting up higher than the low back. Breathe. It's just that the low back is what's pulling up, then that's a lot of pressure on those discs. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're folding forward, is hips higher than low back. Breathe. Then soften through your knees. Go ahead, stretch the spine nice and long, maybe floating up through those hands, hands to the hips, nice long spine all the way up to standing. With your knees soft, heel toe, your feet all the way together. Shake out your legs. Turn and face the front of the mat. Stack yourself up again. Hips back over the back of your feet a little bit. Shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders gently on the back. Soften or close your eyes. Feel the breath moving through you. And then we'll end with a Exhaling. Inhale.